Welcome back to CryptosRus. I'm George. We're all George. There are a lot of signs, a lot of signs that we have found a bottom and we may be flipping up soon. Okay. Right now, the average Bitcoin ETF investor is now underwater. This ETF investor, right? So a lot of people that put their money into ETFs are now underwater. That's not a good thing, obviously. Okay? Because Bitcoin fell below 90,000 and obviously the ETF sold off and the price of them went down. But whenever you see Bitcoin go down drastically, over 30%, that's usually an indicator that we have found bottom and we're about to flip higher. This happened back in April when Bitcoin fell down 30-something%. It also happened last year when Bitcoin fell down about 30-something%. And I'll show you something else too on the charts that's pretty telling. But whenever this tends to happen, at least this cycle, previous cycles we had bigger corrections, but with this cycle, about the 30 to 32% has been our cycle like lows before we flip above. And that's what we saw yesterday, last night. We're about 30%, so maybe there's 2% left, but still close enough. So while we're mirroring this, like this previous fall and some of the previous 30% drops, right? We see kind of the same indicators happen or hit. For example, short-term holder supply and profit loss, just like the ETF holders. We see this go deep in the red. In fact, right now, short-term holder supply and profit or loss is the lowest ever in history, going all the way back to when this started. You generally don't ever see this unless we have a deep correction and fear level is high, people obviously sitting on losses, mass panic everywhere, kind of like what we're seeing right now, people calling for the end and top and all that stuff, right? But every time we hit one of these levels, right, where it's extremely red and people are at a loss or people are super fearful, that's when Bitcoin flips above. So people that are wondering, well, did we just miss the top? No, because we're in a territory that shows that we're at a bottom. Not at top, not at a euphoria blow off top. We didn't have that. Deep. This is the worst we've ever seen for Bitcoin. This is short-term holder loss, though. Not to be confused with long-term holder loss, which is zero, basically. Long-term holders, anyone that's been holding for, I don't know, a few years, a few cycles, deep in the green. This is just short-term. Okay, keep in mind. Now, guys like Tom Lee, and in this interview also Bitwise CIO, they say the same thing. Whenever you see these deep corrections, fear levels super high, indicators that show that people are losing, that's when a bottom is formed. So let's listen to these guys. This is actually pretty good. Let me get my thing ready here. All right.
Are signs of exhaustion. I did speak with Tom DeMark of DeMark Analytics, and he thinks there are signs that would look like a bottom that could be occurring sometime this week.
Matt, do you agree with Tom here?
I actually do exactly agree with Tom. I think we're nearing a bottom. I look at this as a great buying opportunity for long-term investors. Bitcoin was the first thing to turn over before this broader market pullback. It was sort of the canary in the coal mine, signaling that there was some risk in all sorts of risk on assets. I think it'll be the first thing to bottom, and I agree with Tom. We're getting very close to that point.
There are signs of exhaustion.
You hear that? From two industry pros. Tom Lee is saying he's hearing that a lot of signals or indicators are pointing to a bottom this week. And Bitwise, he makes a good point. Matt Hogan makes a good point, saying that, kind of crypto sell-off started first before the broader tech AI sell-off start happening. But that means Bitcoin and crypto will find a bottom first and reverse first before the broader market recovers. And that's true. That's true because crypto is 24/7. That's why. But again, we have seen this before. It's not like we haven't seen this before. We have seen big, deep corrections, 30+%, time and time and time again. And whenever we have these things happen, that's when you get a good bounce. Right? This goes all the way back to almost the beginning, but 2013, 2014. Okay. And I don't know what indicator he's showing, but as you can see, we have many moments where Bitcoin fell down, had these corrections, and every single time we bounce back up. It's never the end. It's over for good. And you could see since this cycle has started, we have a lot of these smaller 20, 30% corrections. Even going back to 2023, 2024, 2025, we had seen a lot of these. The cycle is just very different. It's more consistent. You don't see the huge parabolic rises or dumps too that we've seen in the past with cycles. So if we're mimicking what has happened before, well, that means we're going to flip back up. That's what it means. Here's something else. Net realized profit loss. Again, kind of went into that red territory. And whenever we tend to do that, just like back in April and back in 2024, when we had those 30% corrections, yes, both of those times we had 32% corrections, we found a bottom and then we recovered. Just feels that way. It feels like this is what we're in right now. Also, a lot of people were mentioning this stupid CME gap. Well, we filled the 90,000 one. Or was it 91? 91, 92,000 one. Yeah, so there's still a top one that we haven't filled. But we finally filled this, and it's been since April that we were pending. Like I said, these CME gaps, sometimes they don't get filled, but in most cases they do somehow. So we finally cleared that off the table. Now we have a lot of gaps on the upside to fill. So that's another thing that we could just remove off the table. But yeah, overall, guys, I know there's a lot of fear, a lot of people that are just really bearish, but I also see a lot of people that are not. I also see a lot of people that are very encouraged and know that we will flip above, will recover. Does not feel like we're entering crypto winter. So, I don't want to say everyone. There are a lot of you guys that have watched me for many, many years, so you understand. And you have lived through many cycles. But some of you guys may be new. And you're not, you haven't lived through it. You haven't experienced it. But this is one of those times where it's just like, yeah, there's too much fear. We have gone down quite a lot, but this feels like a bottom. It feels like what we have gone through before. And it feels like we are going to turn. There's no way that we're already had a top and we're sliding into crypto winter right now. We didn't have a top. We didn't have a euphoria stage. We didn't have all these guys showing off their Lambos yet. Right? So this is one of those things. And Wall Street, we know, sometimes is pretty finicky. Wall Street's kind of like retail sometimes. You know, everyone jumps on a bandwagon. Everyone follows the herd. So when one person or one fund starts selling off, everyone starts selling off. And then it goes in reverse the same way. When they start buying, FOMO hits, everyone starts jumping back in. It always seems to happen. So we'll see. We'll see if yesterday was bottom or later this week, today could be bottom. We'll see which day. We won't really know until we really start flipping to the upside, obviously. We got a few catalysts to look forward to. But overall, the indicators, charts, gut feel, I feel like it's like right around the corner.